Her Excellency the Vice President, all the other leaders, members of the diplomat corps, the religious leaders, and all the invited guests. First of all, I thank all of you for responding to our invitation, Mom and myself, to come for Thanksgiving. Thank you very much for coming. Secondly, I want to congratulate the religious people for forming the Interreligious Council. I think they formed it when NRM took over, because the NRM rejected the bankruptcy of religious sectarianism. When was it founded, the Interreligious Council? Can you remind me? When was it founded? 2001, long after the NRM. Because in the past, these religious groups were part of the problem of Uganda and part of the problem of Africa and the world, as you can see. But the NRM in the 1960s, as a student movement, firmly rejected and despised sectarianism of religion or tribe. We people from this part of the world, what you may call the Great Lakes, have a deep history. Although we have some problems with some of the groups, but the population is very strong. There's a word I promoted recently called emyoga, plural. If it is one, it is omwoga, meaning life specialization. Before the Europeans came here, we had no unemployment. There was nobody who was not employed. Everybody was employed according to the specialization of your family. We had the cattle keepers, we had the cultivators, we had the blacksmith, the carpenters, the people, all is called Omoga. And because of that, there was always interdependency. You would specialize in one area, and then you exchange. It was called okchurka, barter trade. You exchange between the groups. Now, initially, colonialism destroyed the myoga because they brought imported products like imported plates, imported utensils, and so on. But when the NRM came into government, we have been able to revive and sort of modernize those skills. And when I'm moving around during the PDM tours and during the campaigns, I see it's beginning to take root. That's why the country is strong. We have got all the basics here. We have food, as you can see, food of all types. We have many of the industrial products which we used to import. They are now made here. The economy is strong. There is some few issues that will be addressed, but the infrastructure to address them is there, but it's not fully used. For instance, the issue of the service delivery. You get some corruption in some of the areas, like PDM, you get some corruption. You get some work on the roads not being done in spite of the money being allocated. But the answer is already there. The answer is the LOC system, the local government system. When we created that system, we were aware that there was the old administrative structure of the DC, the Saza chief, the Gombora chief, the Muruka chief, and those were there. But in the colonial times and after, especially myself, who had lived through all of them, I used to see of the veterinary, the medical, their corrupt government drugs and so on. That's why, therefore, when we were preparing our revolutionary movement, we provided for the, yes, let the administrators be there, but let's have our own elected people, the council chairpersons, LOC1, LOC2, LOC chairperson 3, LOC 4, member of parliament, then chairperson LOC 5, and all the other elected leaders, the councillors. These are the ones to supervise the other people, to watch for the interests of the population, so that when the money comes in the area, it's not diverted. You should check, because you are elected by the people. But this one has not been properly understood. So you find them inert, not active, and instead complaining, expecting the central government, which is far away, to be the one to come and check. Yes, we check, and we depend on auditors and so on, but it would be better. It will be much better once the people learn how to use their own elected people. You elect an LC3 to look after your interests, so that your money which is coming into your area is not diverted. But instead of doing that, you find they just elect people because they have, for different reasons. There is still also some sectarianism of religion in some areas, and I actually wanted to talk to the Interreligious Council about it. When you have some religious groups, some individuals, not groups as such, but some individuals trying to bring up sectarianism of religion, sometimes of tribes, that should be castigated. Because the wealth creator, this is an area of wealth creation. And I'm very proud to belong to that culture of wealth creators. We are people who don't depend on anybody. We depend on our wealth. It's very interesting to see what Henry Stanley, one of the first white people to come here, wrote when he came in 1887 in this part of the world. This is a quotation from his book, in quotes: "A march of an hour and a half in the afternoon, apparently not far from the river, brought us to the populous district of the Babusese." This Babusese is now in Congo, what they call Ituri, but it was part of Bunyoro. It's part of our system. The banana plantations were very extensive, reminding me of Uganda, because Stanley had been to Uganda before. He had been to Uganda in 1874. So he said that when he saw these big plantations in Ituri, They reminded him of Buganda, what we call Uganda. And their shades covered a multitude of huts. He wrote this entry on the 5th of December, 1887. Fields of millet and sesame, plots of sweet potatoes occupied the outskirts of these plantations. And there was ample evidence round about that the land was thickly peopled and industrially cultivated. This is all in volume 1, page 298, in his book entitled In the Darkest Africa. That's how we called it. Then he continued, in quotes again, going on with the march, we next came to Ndongo. He's mispronouncing them, we need to get the proper name description. A perfect garden of plantains. The whole country was rich, most surprisingly so. This fellow was surprised by the wealth of our people. The same streaky, argillaceous sandstones prevailed as in Karagwe. Karagwe of Tanzania, because this is part of our system. There was nothing, in fact, that would not have grown here if it lacked moisture and a temperate heat. It was a perfect paradise for Negroes. That's what he wrote. It was a perfect paradise for Negroes. As fast as they sowed, they were sure of a crop without much trouble. Though I must say, they kept their huts and their gardens in excellent order. In end of quotes. This is on page 128. Then now, when he left Ituri, he entered now the Ankore area. Ankore, the other Igbo place there. And in quotes, he wrote, crossing a narrow neck of land, descended into the basin of the Rizi. The Rizi is the river in Mbarara. By degrees, the misty atmosphere of this region was clearing, and we could now see about 5 miles distance, and the contour of the pastoral plateau of Ankori. He called it Ankori. Not by any means that it's the best. It was well into the drought season. The dry season had commenced 2 months previously. Hilly range, steep corn, clothed with grass ripe for fire. The herds were numerous and all as fat as prize cattle. In the valley, we had passed over 4,000 cattle of the long-horned species. The basin of the Riz, which we were now in, and which was the heart of Ankori, possessed scores of the finest herds of cattle I had never seen before. He writes on page 371, 372. So this area, I've actually been wondering what the problem could be. Because you get people just running around, going here, going there. And why we in the NRM were able to farm, I discovered that it is because some of us kept touch with this historical heritage. And whatever knowledge we get from outside, we add on what we have. And because of that, when it comes, for instance, to sectarianism, we despise it. We despise sectarian ideas. Why? Because I am a wealth creator. I am a cattle keeper and a crop grower. What I need from other people is for them to buy my cow, my milk, my beef, my bananas, and me also to buy something from them. So when you come to me and you waste my time with the sectarianism of religion or tribe, nkugambirirawo nti sitaani nvaako. Genda setaani, genda. You are useless to me. I want mutually beneficial interaction.